All right, everybody, welcome back. It is Monday. It's about 9 p.m. here, November 18th on the East Coast. It is cold, it is rainy, so let's go ahead and get into another Monday Bitcoin analysis. As you all know, I always start off with the weekly chart, bare bones, nothing on it, just to take a look at, what we have going on here. And right now, so far, we're starting another week totally in the red here, or in the white, as it is on my chart, of just serious bear volume here. And we're starting to get close to an area of no volume, which is not good. I think that if we end up getting a weekly close below 78.45 or so, we're probably going to be testing newer lows. 76 would be in play, 7,000 would be in play, so that's definitely something to be looking at. On the weekly Ichimoku cloud, we did come up here and we tested. I haven't shown the Ichimoku on the weekly chart for quite some time, and we did come up and test our baseline here up at the top. And right now we're basically retesting our 50 weekly EMA as support here. I've been losing my voice a little bit today, so just bear with me. But on the weekly chart, that's pretty much all I got. We're hovering right in the middle here on our single line momentum, and we still have not crossed over into the bottom side, into negative territory on our oscillator here. So there is still hope for the bulls, but right now it's not looking too good. This was not very convincing here, and obviously since it wasn't, we're still forming bearish momentum. If we go ahead and increase this a little bit, just to exaggerate the size a little bit, you can actually see that the bearish momentum is increasing, and it's probably expected that by next week, if we do not turn this around, we will be flipping to the other side, which would be a prolonged bearish scenario. So switch over to the daily chart. I'll do the Ichimoku first since I'm already on it. Daily candle that closed was extremely bearish. We had two previous days during the weekend where we just kind of got some dojis. There wasn't very much, if any, price action or volume at all during the weekend. We tested our 200 EMA yesterday, and we were not able to break through that. Once we broke down through that on Friday last week, it just hasn't been good for us. We tried to gut above it for a daily close above it. We just couldn't make it, and we ended up breaking down today further. So for the new daily candle, we are starting out just a little bullish, but it's really nothing to be too excited about. I think this candle has only been open for maybe 30 minutes or an hour or so far. On our oscillator, we already have switched over to the bearish side, so and there's still definitely plenty of room to go in terms of what the indicators are telling us. We're not even in to oversold territory yet, and normally we can go pretty deep. If you look back here, we reached all the way down to negative 20. Right now we're sitting at about 38, so almost in the middle of our momentum indicator up here. So overall, that is not very good for us. Let me go ahead and turn this off. And so this is pretty much what I have. This was the last count. This ABC, there's when I go down to a 4-hour chart, you're going to be able to see the detail of the other counts that I have in here that I did on my Friday analysis. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But overall here, there's been a lot of confusion with people that I'm seeing on Twitter, and their trend lines are all over the place. Now, just a quick little lesson here, and this isn't meant to be a tutorial on how to draw trend lines, and I'm by no means throwing anybody under the bus or throwing shade at people on crypto Twitter or anything like that. But the proper way to draw trend lines is you connect the first two wicks. Like if you're using wicks, then you're supposed to be connecting the first two wicks. Obviously, this would not make sense. This here would, which means that we're testing the top of this trend line. However, this was so much price action here that I have not been drawing my trend lines from here. I've actually been drawing it from here and using these two, which I have seen some people doing. I've seen some people not doing that. But I've seen these trend lines drawn like a million different ways, not only on the daily chart, but on the 4 hour as well. And I'm about to put that to rest. It's kind of difficult to see here on the daily chart, but whether you draw from here or this wick here or this wick here, I mean, this wick wouldn't really make sense, but normally if you're drawing trend lines and you're doing them with wicks or with bodies, it doesn't really matter how you draw them in terms of using wicks or bodies, but you always want to use wicks or bodies, because as soon as if you normally draw them with wicks and then you start connecting the candlestick bodies instead, what you're doing is you're actually placing the trend lines based on your own bias, which is going to throw off how you're doing your analysis and stuff like that. So just be very mindful of that when you're actually drawing trend lines and things. So on the daily chart, if we draw these out, we do have kind of a descending wedge here that we actually just closed out of. And obviously, if we don't break back into this, this is going to be extremely bearish. So that's one thing. In terms of our Fibonacci pull here, we did end up breaking below our 618, our golden zone, as you can see here. And we came down and we almost touched the 786. I think we missed it by like maybe $10 or $20 or something. So that's basically the next thing. So if we look here on a 4 hour chart, this is going to be, this is pretty much how I have this drawn here. And I did this in my last video. I have these two wicks touching, I have these two wicks touching, and it just so happened that, these almost touched it, these touched it here, and then we ended up breaking through it. But for right now, this is my count. I do think for right now that, we could be calling this, a potential bottom here, but it's really going to depend what happens tomorrow with price action. Like these next couple days, I think are going to be extremely important for us. Just because this is the first time that we've gone back and tested these lows since we've been back here in about this time last month. So it's been a month since we've been down here at this price level, which I think is, it's not good. Let's just put it that way. It's not good. It's not good, but right now it's not that bad either. So I don't know what this is. So right now, from what I can tell on the 4 hour chart is, yes, we did end up getting into oversold territory, which isn't necessarily a bad thing on, the 4 hour chart. That's actually kind of good because hopefully we should start moving back up from here and start, coming back into, normal territory. If we don't, however, like I said, there's obviously from previous price action, you can see, there's plenty more room, for us to be going down. Time and time again, we have come down to really deep here. This is like -11, this is -17 or 18 over here. And right now we're sitting at about -25 or so. So there is room for us to be coming down further on our indicators, especially on our oscillator here. We've barely made it over, into the bearish side here. This is also based on momentum here and volume. This is the awesome oscillator. That's the one that I prefer to use. And it's just been really, really flat. Obviously, it's been bearish all through this because we're below the zero line, but it hasn't been like this, there hasn't been like crazy volume in the market where we've been seeing a whole bunch of like really big swings or something. When we had this price action here, it was very drastic. And for the last couple of weeks, in terms of price action with this oscillator here, it's just been very kind of just ebbing and flowing, just very slight back and forth movement. And, which is kind of surprising because some of these moves have been kind of large. This move here was from 8,800. We wicked all the way up to almost 92. And then we came back down from 9,000 and wicked all the way down here to 86. And this was a very slight move on this indicator here. So That's one thing that I'm taking into consideration in terms of placing longs. I'm actually currently in a long position. I do have a very tight stop on this. It's actually just below the 786. I think my average entry is somewhere around like 8,075 or something like that. So I am a little bit in the profit right now, but I'm going to be watching this price action very, very closely over the next couple of days, because if these levels don't hold, we did break below 8,200. If we don't end up breaking above 8,200 and holding that level, then obviously we're going to come back down. Again, we're going to test 8,000. And if 8,000 does not hold, then I do expect us to be going pretty deep. My next expectancy for price would probably be this next support line from this last range that we were in for a long time. I was talking about this for weeks while I was trading this. And that's probably going to be our next area. Right now, this this previous line right here from our previous range, that's actually acting as resistance right now. We actually, if you zoom in here, we actually just rejected off of this pretty nicely, and now it looks like we're starting to move back up. It looks like the price action wants to test this again. So I do know that there's a lot of people that have big buys down here, right? I mean, it's no secret. Everybody on Twitter, myself included, we've all been calling, 82, anywhere between 8,000 and 82, potentially lower. And I knew that before yesterday, when everybody started, yesterday and last night and today and stuff, when everybody started calling, we're going to 6K and stuff like that. Normally when you start seeing ridiculous, outrageous calls like this where, we're going to 5K and 6K and stuff like that, normally we end up seeing a move in the market, and normally we end up not achieving what everybody is calling for, right? So, I mean, people are calling for 6K. I mean, is that a possibility? I mean, yeah, I mean, anything is possible in Bitcoin, right? But at the same time, look at how many levels of resistance you would have to be breaking to actually come back down to 6K. I mean, this line here is at 6,600. So 6K is way down here at the 141. And that is a lot of support and resistance levels to break through. I mean, we've got major support at 78. We've got another big support down here at 77. And then we've got our massive support level at about 7,200. This is a major historical support area of about 65. So, I mean, you're talking about breaking through a lot of support levels to be coming back to this zone, which, if you look at it, we haven't really seen since, back here, where is this? May. So that's, we haven't seen those levels for months and months now. So, I mean, is it possible that we come down to that zone? Yeah, absolutely. But there would have to be some massive bearish volume in the market. There would have to be major sell-offs, major capitulation. There would have to be FUD involved with that, government stuff involved with that, like, in terms of negative news and things like that, for that to happen. There would have to be something to cause an astronomical sell-off of Bitcoin. Exchanges shutting down, or, like if news came out that, a major exchange was hacked or something like that, I could potentially see that helping along, helping along the process. But as of right now, our immediate support level is $8,000. So, if this breaks, yeah, sure. I've got a stop loss here, and I'll wait until we come down lower. I'll wait until we hit 78 or 76 or 75, until I think about re-entering. But as of right now, my long is in the profit. Anybody else that's in our group that was, taking our calls with us and stuff in our Discord, they're also in the profit from a long. We were longing on this wick here, and it's worked out well so far. But as of right now, that's pretty much just a scalp call, and I think that we're probably going to end up coming up, retesting the bottom of this of this wedge here, and then probably continuing the downtrend. I hope that I'm wrong, and this is the bottom, and we start reversing from here, because there are some things that tell us that we should be doing that. Not only historical support, but our indicators on some of these lower time frames as well. Some of them are starting to turn back over a little bullish, and as and I mentioned in one of my previous videos, the smaller time frames have to turn bullish first before the larger time frames can. So Looking here on our 1 hour chart, we've just kind of been ranging here for the last few hours, in this zone, this really, really tight, what is this, 81.60 to 82.20. So not even a full $100 range here. It's like an $80 range. So really, really tight range here. Our RSI indicator is just about, trying to come back over to, to confirm some bullish momentum. We do have bullish momentum on our awesome oscillator. Looking on the 2 hour chart, it's pretty much the same deal. We're struggling to come back up and break into, just neutral territory here on the RSI, but we have had 2 bullish candles in a row. This one is forming. It closes in about 20 minutes. But this is still very bearish here on our awesome oscillator. And then obviously on the 4 hour chart, same deal, but it's trying to come back and be bullish. So there really isn't too much else that I can say about this, honestly. We ended up having, a clear falling wedge here, which is a reversal pattern. And just like we all know, Bitcoin likes to, for lack of a better term, give no fucks and do the complete opposite. So we ended up losing support of this wedge here. We broke down, and now the only thing that we can hope for is that, bulls start rallying, and instead of just testing the bottom of this and rejecting, we actually break through it and continue higher. I won't be convinced of a bottom here unless I start seeing some closes above 8,600. We need to break through this, and we need to break through the other way of this falling wedge and close above it. And certainly close above our 618, or close above our golden zone at about, what's the top of this? 85.30. So that's definitely what I'm going to be looking for confirmation of a bullish trend. Hopefully I'll get lucky. And anybody else that's that was able to long here on this wick, hopefully those people that are longing this end up getting lucky. Hopefully we do end up reversing, and if we get a close above 85.35 above our golden zone, I will certainly be moving my stop loss up to the bottom of the golden zone and letting that ride for quite some time. And as it keeps moving up, I'll be adding to my position, of course. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I think that the next couple of days here for Bitcoin are going to be extremely, extremely important. We definitely need to see a reversal in momentum here. We really need the bulls to show up. They need to start putting in some orders. We just really got to hope for the best. Most people that I know that are longing this, just like myself, we have extremely tight stops on this. This is definitely a risky play, catching falling knives and things like that, and trying to long the bottom. It's a really quick way to get sucked into losing a lot of money on your portfolio. So if you are doing that, if you aren't doing that right now, I don't recommend doing it, and I really don't recommend it anyway unless you're a more experienced trader. That has experience with different order types and stuff like that. So definitely be very careful here. If you're not in a position, like I said, I don't recommend getting into one, but if it does look like we're not going to be breaking back into this falling wedge, then I would probably end up closing my position out in the profit and then flipping it over here, which is what I end up I might actually end up setting up some orders to do that tonight, just in case, because since I'm already in the position, I'm not going to close it out, just because I'm going to sleep. I'm going to set my stop loss to a market order instead of a stop limit so that it doesn't get skipped by, and then plan on, having a reversal order here, to close me out in profit and then potentially switch me over to the short side. And set another stop loss on top of that to protect me in case it keeps going up higher. So that's really all I got for you guys. I really appreciate you keeping up with the videos. As usual, always let me know. There we go. Always let me know what your feedback is. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down. All of the information that you need is down in the comments below. Our Edge group, we are going to have a major announcement coming out with some stuff that was happening within the group that was causing some drama. So I'm going to have more news on that later, and we're going to make an announcement publicly probably by the end of this week. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, the group is going extremely well. We actually just managed to partner with a couple exchanges. And if you'd like more software on the bot that we have that auto trades our signals from our group for our alt calls on the Binance exchange, feel free, reach out to me, reach out to the CEO. All of the information to contact us is down in the description below. So feel free to do that. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Take it easy, and I'll be back on Friday for a weekly roundup of BTC. Hopefully we see some bullish momentum. Other than that, happy trading.